Bob Guzzlers.
What's up, guys?
What's up?
We're back in New York.
YouTube.
We are back in our own apartment this time.
We are.
We were in Dallas. We were in Florida. We are now back in Brooklyn. I'm 25 today. That's exciting.
Yay!
It is my birthday. It is my birthday. And I'm having a great day. This is the first birthday where I've actually had no obligations. And I'm really enjoying it. Did you have any resolutions for 2021?
I didn't have any specific resolutions. I find that when I'm writing things down, this is what I'm gonna do this year, it's always really hard to follow through on. And then when I don't follow through, I'm like, oh well, I might as well give up for this year. And so I didn't want to do that. And then last year, the one resolution I made was from 2020 on, every year I'm going to travel to a country I have never been to. And that did not happen. So this year I decided, instead of making specific resolutions, I was just going to kind of vow to be better going forward, continue to self-reflect and think of ways that I can be a better person.
In what ways do you think you need to be a better person?
I think I am still figuring out how to take the things I need or do the things I need to do without feeling like I'm imposing on other people. I think I am so afraid of upsetting anyone or disturbing the peace that I tend to ignore what I need sometimes. At the same time, I don't want to overcorrect and be too selfish, so it's also, I guess, part of my resolution to continue to find ways to show appreciation for the people I love and value.
In what ways have you already succeeded at this goal?
I've been studying for the LSAT, which I never thought I would do. So I think that was definitely a step in the right direction. I knew I needed to do something intellectual. I knew I wanted to put my energy towards something academic, which I haven't done in a couple years. I always have this fear. I went to school for acting for college, and I always have this fear that if I don't end up being an actor, then I wasted a lot of time and money. And I had to kind of let go of that fear and be it was not a waste. I learned a ton, and no matter where my career goes, I'm still pursuing that too. But no matter where my career ends up, I don't think it was a waste. I think it was an incredible few years of my life that I really value and learned a lot from. So I had to kind of let go of that fear when I decided to study for the LSAT and sign up for it and everything, and realize that pursuing one thing doesn't mean I'm giving up on something else.
Yes.
Hard lesson, but true.
Yeah.
I can do both, so why not do both?
Well, and your focus and dedication has been admirable.
Thank you.
I know that you struggle to take space for yourself, but in Texas and in Florida, I've noticed that you have taken that space.
Thank you.
Much more than you would have maybe a few months ago.
Tristan left for a weekend to spend with some friends back in October. And it was really, really hard for me at first because I hadn't been by myself in months. And so I kind of freaked out being alone. I was what do I do with all this alone time? And then I kind of, as the weekend went on, realized how necessary it is for me. But I'm such an extrovert that I don't like to ask for alone time because I always dread it. And then when it actually comes, I'm wait a minute, this is really necessary. So yeah, I've definitely been taking more alone time, even if we're in the same room, just taking time to do my own thing and not worry about, as terrible as it sounds, not worry about other people, but just to put myself first sometimes and give myself the time and space I need to feel like a human before I'm able to give that to somebody else, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, what about you? What are your resolutions?
I'm sure everyone is having some feelings of regret in not pursuing life to the fullest before COVID, and I very much feel that in the past I didn't live in the present as much as I could have. We watched Soul a few nights ago, and if you haven't seen it or if you haven't heard of it, please pursue watching it. I think it's one of the most profound and touching movies I've ever seen.
Agreed.
And it's a little biased because the protagonist is a
jazz
musician.
Something they said in the movie was what separates people in the zone from people who are lost souls is obsession. People who obsess over that flow and being in that state of, creativity. People who obsess over that and that's all they're pursuing and it's all they see become lost souls. So
a very impactful moment in the movie is when the protagonist dies before, the opportunity of a lifetime, and he says, I will not die before I achieve my life's purpose. Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the point is, like, that career goal isn't necessarily your purpose, and life's a lot broader than just your career goals, your success. And that really hit home for me because I have been career and success oriented, just obsessed my entire life, it seems like. And it's brought me through some very dark places, and I want to pursue living in a more present manner.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've brought myself to do that slowly and slowly.
There's just so much more to life, and if all you're living for is one specific accomplishment or, a certain point in your career, it's like, then when you get there, what's the point anymore? And if you don't get to that point, then you feel like you're a failure, even if you've accomplished a billion other things. So I think it's a really good message. I brought up when Matt Damon and Ben Affleck won the Oscar for Good Will Hunting, they were, I think, like 23. Like, they just graduated from college. They wrote the movie and won the Oscar. And one of them, I don't remember which one, I should fact check this. One of them said something about how he realized that it's really just a statue. And he was like, thank God I didn't spend my whole career chasing this statue. Because if I had gotten this when I was older, when I was in my 40s or whatever, if I'd gotten this statue, I would have realized that I spent 40 years chasing a statue. I think that really ties into the message of Soul and is just so important. Not to be like today's society, but like kinda. Like, I feel like we're so work oriented and like we're always seeing images in social media of people who are successful. And especially if you're in the creative field, if you're like trying to be a performer of any kind, it's really hard to see that and not get discouraged if you don't have the same success, especially if it's someone who you know or who started out in a similar way you did. It's really helpful to just gain perspective that even those people who are accomplishing so much so young don't have everything. No one has everything, and career is not everything.
And success is relative.
Yeah.
A lot of the things that at least I am saying is not in a preaching way, but in a message to myself. I'd like to say. Living in New York has been very difficult because it's made me so fixated on success and money and a very external, superficial meaning of what success could be. And I think I've been trying to bring myself out of that. Something I'm proud of in the last year is I seem to care a lot less of what people think. And I remember in Texas, I was talking about how, or at least Bridget was encouraging me to express myself more in every manner, including social media, which is maybe the hardest one for me. And some reason YouTube is not hard.
Yeah.
The visual auditory combination of YouTube doesn't make me as scared as doing a podcast. Some reason that scares me more.
If it's just the audio or just
Text.
Pictures or text, it's so much easier to misconstrue what's being said or interpret it in a different way.
What's something you're proud of from the last year?
Learning the lesson that pursuing one thing doesn't mean letting go of another, that I can do multiple things. And I think that's a hard thing to grapple with, and I'm still working on it for sure. I know it to be true.
I feel the same way with school and with accepting that, yeah, I play jazz, I studied it, I spent my life kind of dedicated to it, but that doesn't have to be my identity like it is for others. I think because so many others seem to revolve their world around jazz and nothing else, so it seems, that I ought to be that way, but that's not true. And so I've been fixated on other things that I'm interested in, like coding or making electronic music, making these videos, really just being a creative person, and that's what it comes down to. There's a pigeonholing that our culture does too.
Yeah.
That if they can't put you into a category, then you aren't something to be even regarded as existing.
Life is not as short as people say it is. I don't know. Life is short, but also there's so much time to do all the things you want to do. I'm 22, so me deciding to study for a test in a few months is not gonna mean that I can't ever do anything ever again. It's cool to explore that and see what else is out there and know that the love we have for the things that we originally chose that's still there. We still have that love, and we're still
Well, we need to remain hopeful that there's still opportunity in our fields too.
Right. Right. That's a big part of it too. It does feel bleak right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to imagine that it won't always feel this way. But I do believe that it will change.
I believe there's something artists have that most people don't have the fortune to experience, and that's a deep connection with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a spiritual realm, however you want to put it, I think it really makes you in touch with something beyond yourself, however you want to interpret that. And that's something to always be grateful for.
Definitely.
It's an enormous privilege to even be able to have the option to pursue what we want to pursue and have the things that we have, even when we're searching for success.
Absolutely.
I get very existential around my birthdays, and I don't know. I was talking to my grandparents today and asking my grandfather what he was doing when he was 25, and he couldn't quite remember everything, but he said it working 2 or 3 jobs and going to school. That's what he had to do. We're all in a better place than our grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's not financially.
Just the world we live in is so much more open. There are so many more options for us out there. Yeah, I agree.
I really love PewDiePie, and on a live stream recently, he talked about how you shouldn't chase success and you shouldn't chase money. And I'm very interested in how someone as successful as him could say that. Who wouldn't want to be
platform.
Insanely rich,
Yeah.
not even care about it, and just
Yeah.
get to do whatever you want for a living.
Right.
For as long as you want,
Yeah.
or as little as you want.
Yeah.
He gets to play Minecraft. I want to play Minecraft. I love Minecraft.
But that's the thing, is it's always the people who like have money and have success who are saying that's not enough.
And I need to hear that.
Yeah.
Especially,
Well,
'cause I'm just like, I'm pursuing something that is hard to see how it can be lucrative. And so
Right.
it's like,
Same.
it's so difficult to like meet those two intense urges. But then it's like
Yeah.
important to realize like, it's okay to have neither of those things, or a negotiation between those things, or it doesn't have to look exactly like you want it to look.
Okay, that's a big lesson, I think, also, which is kind of what I was getting at earlier, but I didn't phrase it quite as well, which is it doesn't have to look the way you think it'll look. Nothing ever works out exactly the way you think it will. I feel very lucky, like you said, to be able to chase the dream that I want to chase. I know that that's incredibly fortunate.
Yeah, not everyone has that option.
Yeah.
And almost every single person to have lived before us did not have that option. I think that's a really important thing I would love to put out there. It's just like really, really think about the past, your ancestors, history, whatever, in a way that isn't so narcissistic.
What do you mean?
You're lucky to be alive in 2021
Yeah.
and not 1921, 1821. 17. Like, just go back 50 years at a time and think about how your life could be.
Yeah. And I think when people say that, I think people our age get defensive because they're like, yeah, but like...
Shouldn't it be better? Okay, sure, yeah. But first be grateful for what we have.
Yeah. But also I think people don't look at it from a lens of career opportunity. I think people look at it from a lens of like day-to-day life, which
that's what I'm saying.
is
I'm saying
still
in every
also,
way.
it is better in every way today. But as far as career, I think that especially shows progress. Like that our ancestors didn't know. Like going to acting school, like who was able to do that? You used to kind of have to do a very limited scope of things. I think it was really
And we're not
limited.
discounting the people who are still in that position either.
Of course, yeah.
But even those who are in that position ought to acknowledge the benefits that they hold today because of our collective ancestors. I guess that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, definitely.
If you live in first world country, that's a big thing. There's a lot to be grateful for. That's all I'm saying. I'm trying to remind myself of that because I can
Yeah.
be a very ungrateful person.
Well, we were watching a lot of history videos last night, and
Very fun.
it just shows you like just how far we've come. We were watching one about the Russian Revolution. Most of Russia was suffering
For so long.
for so long, and
Even recently.
yeah, it's something I can't even comprehend.
Yeah,
and I
that's
feel
kind
so
of-
lucky to not be able to comprehend that, but so much of history was just suffering. And there are definitely still people who are in those conditions.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're not one of the people in those conditions, you know, that's pretty crazy to think that not that long ago you could have been.
Your grandmother fled from Germany.
Yeah, my grandmother was the head nurse at a Jewish hospital in Berlin during the Holocaust, and she survived, obviously, because
But
I'm here today.
her sister didn't.
Her sister did not. I believe her sister and her father were in concentration camps, working in a hospital that was under constant threat. Everything around them burned to rubble. Pretty incredible. It's an amazing story. Yeah, to think that that was only 2 generations ago, that woman was my grandmother and that I knew her is really, it's just inconceivable now. Well, thanks for watching. Thanks for coming down this long road with us. It was kind of fun to just sit here and talk.
Mm-hmm.
I like
I think
that.
it's important.
Mm-hmm. If you have anything you'd like to contribute, resolutions, things you're thinking about in the new year, birthdays, history, anything like that, drop a comment. We'll read it.
Realizations.
Realizations. Ooh, deep. Hope you enjoyed this very different kind of video. And if you did, let us know.
Yeah. I would be happy to do more stuff like this. It's fun.
Same. We love deep talks here.
We love talking about our feelings. Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year. We'll see you
Take
next
care.
time.